Man, these weekends, right? They just build up. It's just one big football grind right now. We are loving this at Idaho Sports Talk. So welcome, hour number 3. We're Prater on the ball game. 208-424-9300. We've left the next 30 minutes open for you, for us to discuss what went on with this football team, where this football team is, suggestions you might have. Should the coach be fired now? Should they wait till after the season? What should the plan be? 208-424-9300. Prater, I'm going to start you off. We got a text from Doug in Nampa, and Doug says, there's no easy answer for this. I think they should keep everything the same for the rest of the season and see what happens. Nobody is hurting more than them. There's Doug in Nampa.
Yeah. I mean, the feelings really aren't a part of this, but I certainly mostly agree with that. I'm not going to say through the rest of the season, I want to take this one game at a time and just gather as much information as I possibly can. So I think I've made it very clear that I don't think he should be fired right now. Obviously, there's not a game this weekend. Let's see what happens next Saturday, again, the following Saturday against Wyoming, and we'll continue to get more and more information. If this thing continues to go south, the answer is going to be obvious. The timing will be important. If this thing gets better, and right now it's really hard to believe that this thing's going to get better. Nobody's burying their head in the sand. We all understand the massive and the gross issues that are going on with Boise State football right now, but let's see if they can climb out of it. So the emotional side, I loved the emotions over the weekend. There were no bad emotions over the weekend, even if you're that guy who threw your football through a television screen. I get it. I totally get it. We all get it. We've all wanted to do that. Every single emotion over the weekend was absolutely beautiful because that's what this game elicits. And it's Jeremiah Dickey's job to take the emotions out of it and make good decisions. And right now, the good decision is to keep Andy Avalos as your head coach.
208-424-9300. Give us a call. We want to know, what should the plan be? Should they fire somebody? If not, who should they rehire? Well, we just want to know where you're coming from. 208-424-9300. Prater, you said don't fire Avalos right now, but you're waiting on a kind of week to week type of basis. If Wyoming beats them 47-3 in 2 weeks, and you can clearly see that anything that could be had with this program has been lost. And I mean, at that point, Andy Avalos would have lost the players. The players lost any respect or trust they had from this coaching staff. You see that happen sometimes with sports teams, Prater, where it's just a total disaster. And at that point, a lot of times you have no choice but to make a swift reaction at that point. I don't know if it'll get to that point. I don't know, but I'm in the corner right now of you're not going to fire him during the season. Maybe you have a sacrificial lamb that's someone on the assistant or an assistant on this staff, and you move off from there. Like Andy had to fire his OC last year, Prater.
Yeah, but that wasn't sacrificial.
Yeah. Well, maybe this would firing Spencer Danielson be sacrificial? I mean,
yeah, but no, it wouldn't.
I don't think it would
either.
It would
have substance, but I don't think it's warranted right now either.
And Andy to say, hey, you don't think it's warranted? Yeah.
No, not at all. Not even close.
31 points in the second half, all this stuff they're giving up through the air. Tom, you're first up. Let's get these calls. Again, we're going to keep this open for a half hour for you guys, Bronco Nation. Tom, what should they do?
Prater, I'll disagree with you, but defer to you on the defensive thing. But I think Andy needs to possibly go Dirk Cutter on the defense and say, you know what? I'm a defensive guy. This is my team. I'm going to take over I'm going to take over the defense. And then we'll see. Maybe we'll see what the problem is. Maybe the problem is Spencer. You don't think it is. Some people do. The eye test tells me it is. Then it's a put up or shut up moment. Then I've done that. The only problem was his neck gets further. He gets further out on that creaky branch.
Yeah.
Because if he fails calling the defense, then boy, his hot seat just got really, really hot. So I don't know if he's inclined to do so. I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for all of them. But if that's the issue, but I'm going to tell you, 21 points. Granted, I know Colorado State's a good team, but I still think there's problems with his offense, and you need to put up more points than that. And I got to tell you, I think everybody's under the microscope. Everybody under the microscope this season. But I think Andy's got to say, if this is my team, then I'm going to put my neck out on the line and I'm going to take over the defense.
I don't hate that idea, except, the first couple things that come to mind for me is Andy's got so much on his plate right now, he doesn't need more. And for Andy Avalos to step in and say, I'm going to take over the defense, he needs to fix this entire football team. But I get what you're saying. For me, it's about a vibe. It's about a killer instinct. It's about a culture. It's about having dudes who are physical and mean and nasty. And I don't see that. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. So I don't know if I necessarily need Andy Avalos doing more, but I don't hate your idea. I mean, what are you going to do? Fire Spencer and just tell him to be an inside linebackers or whatever is? Yeah, that's kind of a tough one.
Yeah, you say, okay, we're just going to keep you as an inside linebacker coach, which is technically the position that he does coach. But Andy and Spencer, I mean, these guys go back, and I know people might not care about the emotional side. This is business, and it has to be, if you're a right head coach, Andy, you have to conduct this like a business. Still, sometimes tougher or easier said than done. Let's get to Zach. He's also holding. Zach, welcome to Idaho Sports Talk. What should they do?
I really think it was really a tale of two halves, and, tell me if I'm wrong here, but both the offense and the defense really showed me something. Honestly, in that first half, I mean, it was 10-0 for a while, and the offense, looked, not too bad. I'm not really on with the whole 2 quarterback team thing, but I'll kind of deal with it if it works. But the defense, it really showed me something that I haven't seen any of the games the rest of this, season so far. And they had a really great determination. And I really think it's less the players because they all have the skills and the abilities and they showed it in the first half. I think it's more the coaches need to be able to make the adjustments in the second half. And I think I've seen that quite a bit the rest of the season, and agree with me, if you think I'm right here or not. But I think that's the problem. It's making adjustments.
Yeah, I think you're right on. And I think the list even goes deeper than that. The physicality, the fundamentals, the tackling, all that stuff. Certainly the coaches are a blame here. I'm also blaming the players. And whether that's part coaching, I get it. That's part recruiting, bringing in maybe some of the wrong dudes. I don't see anybody on this. I mean, I think Marco Notriani and Andrew Simpson are doing fantastic work at linebacker.
Okay.
Feely had a nice game in this particular game. He got some nice pressure for the first time. There's pockets of guys doing pockets of things, but I don't see the consistent badass dude that I want on my defense that's just out there creating havoc. And I know those are hard to get at the Group of 5 level. I know they're hard to get at Boise State, but I don't see one in the back half of this defense, whether it's coaching or players or recruiting or development and all the above.
Yeah.
There's nothing about the back half of Boise State's defense that intimidates me.
And it's crazy too. I was thinking we'll keep taking these calls, 208-424-9300. I mean, you're a tipped pass hitting the ground away from us talking about something entirely different right now, Prater. I mean, that's how small the margins are in college football. One tip pass, if that ball just touches the ground, Boise State still wins. And yes, they have some issues, but they're 3-0, atop of the league standings, and we'd be having a completely different narrative. But I'm thinking that, and then I hear you say, yeah, well, the secondary and all those issues. Yeah, if there was going to be some unit that would screw that up, it would be this pass defense, right? It would be the secondary. It's been the worst unit all year, and they couldn't hold one attempted Hail Mary away from being 3-0 in this league. It's crazy. Tony, welcome to Idaho Sports Talk. Let's get another call in here. Bring it, Tony.
Yeah, I agree.
I love that you agree with me, Tony. Do you have anything you want to add, bro? Go for it. Tony. Prater, I think we lost Tony. 208-424-9300. But yeah, the secondary's just been in shambles all year. And is that one unit that, are you demanding this get fixed?
Well, we all are. I'm sure Spencer Danielson is. I'm sure DeMario Warren is. Andy Avalos is. How do you demand something to get fixed? Seriously, how do you demand something to get fixed?
Yeah. You put new people in charge.
No,
right?
I'm not advocating for that. I'm not advocating for players. At this point in the season, you have what you have. You have the coaches that you have the players that you have, and you got to do the best you can with you have. And that's not settling, but that's kind of the situation Boise State's defense got itself into.
Let's get to Tyree. Tyree, appreciate the line. Tyree, welcome to Idaho Sports Talk. What you got, man?
I just wanted to touch on the fact that
I don't think we can get rid of the coaches mid-season. I don't think that's going to solve any immediate issue, but just the lack of preparation and the fact that the biggest thing that's bothering me is that you allowed 2 onside kicks in a row. And the first one, EMAC tried to make a play on it, but I just think that that's just inexcusable. And the fact that we can't get a special teams knowing that 2 onside kicks are coming to recover a football is just beyond me.
I thought the players were lazy. I really, truly do. And I don't think I've ever used that word in terms of describing a college football player. And I just thought it was a lazy, laissez-faire effort. You know, coaches can talk about scheme. They can break it down. I'm sure they're trying to figure out what the hell happened. I just saw some very lazy effort from Boise State's football players during those plays.
And this team can't be lazy, players or coaches. And I guarantee you not one person on that sidelines or up in that booth thought there was any instance, any way, shape, or form they were going to lose that game until they lost it. I'm sure that was the demeanor on the sidelines, Prater. That was not, if you use the term killer instinct in sports, that was the opposite of that with Boise State. I used the word, you said lazy. I said they were just outright asleep for the entire fourth quarter there. Calvin, you're next up. Bring it. Calvin, what you got?
Hey, so the question I want to start with you guys with and have your answer is Boise State a dumpster fire right now?
Getting close. Dumpster fire is pretty hardcore, but I wouldn't say they're quite there, but they're getting close, in my opinion.
Okay. And I agree. I don't know if they're there, if they're getting close. But, Mike, I liked what you had to say, your article, that firing people now at this point would take what's a dumpster fire and turn it into burning down the freaking house.
Yeah, it would.
I mean, it's just not a good direction to go right now. As much as you might not think Andy's the guy to do it, doing it in the middle of the season, there's nobody to step in here. And I guess ultimately, I mean, I said this to you guys a few weeks ago after the Memphis game, when you got fans calling in and saying turn TG10 into RB2 or a tight end, I'm getting tired of listening to what fans think. Let's let the guys who are in the clubhouse and the guy that runs the program, Jeremiah Dickey, decide what the right thing to do is. And I'm going to trust Jeremiah.
All right.
I think that's the only thing we can do at this point is, outside of, some botching with the schedule. And I take that personal and don't like the fact that the football schedule has been tweaked under Jeremiah Dickey. Outside of that, in Jeremiah Dickey, we trust. I trust. Maybe you guys trust. I think his track record's proven the trust factor. And in this particular case, I trust Jeremiah Dickey. I never, ever, ever, ever expected a firing on Saturday night on the tarmac, on Sunday in an office, on Monday in a press conference. Never expected that because I just don't think that that's the kind of thing that Jeremiah Dickey would do.
208-424-9300. That is the Double Tap Pub hotline. JP, fire it up. Let's keep it going. We're going to do this for an entirely another segment, so stay with us. Prater in the Ballgame on Sports.KTIK, the ticket.
From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Studios.